Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to this live and interactive session. This is the online training, a webinar series under the umbrella term Cyber Hygiene. This particular training session is organized by CIET, that is Central Institute of Educational Technology, NCERT, New Delhi. And I would like to inform you that you are watching us on our eVidya channels from 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. Before we move ahead in this training session, let me tell you something about this training program. It's a 5-day, 5-hour training session, which means each day 1 hour between 4 and 5 p.m. is dedicated to this particular webinar series or the training session. And this week we are having this training session under the umbrella concept of cyber hygiene. We all know that we cannot do away without the digital technology. We have to use the cyberspace. So there are certain security, safety concerns, privacy concerns that we need to be aware of. So in order to have a safe space for us to do different kind of activities, be it professional networking, social networking, education, anything or other community building measures that we do online, we need to keep this space safe and hygiene. Hygiene, of course, here is meant for cyber hygiene. Now, today is 4th day of this training session. Yesterday is 4th of January and the topic that we have taken on day 4 is cyber hygiene for classrooms, best practices for teachers and students. And we have been doing this session for last 3 days. On day 1, the theme was understanding the basics of cyber hygiene. On day 2, it was safeguarding the virtual space. On day 3, it was safe socializing online. And today, we are talking about cyber hygiene for classrooms, best practices for teachers and students. This is going to be a very interesting session because we all know how pandemic actually changed the educational scenario all over the world. ICT has become a really important tool when it comes to providing education, imparting knowledge to the students, to the viewers, to anybody for that matter. So how to keep that space safe, how teachers can present a very safe environment for their students, especially when it comes to remote or distance learning. This is what we are going to talk about and even something more. So let me first of all introduce you all to our guest today. Today we are joined by Ms. Nisha Dua. She is mentor and coach, cyber safety and security. Welcome to the session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. Very honored to be invited to conduct this important session today.
Absolutely.
And I hope my presentation will add value to the lives of the listeners and motivate them to be smart and safe in the cyberspace.
Sure, ma'am. We are looking forward to this session. And viewers and students, if you wish to connect with ma'am, if you have questions that you would like to ask, you can definitely give us a call. Please call us on 88 00 44 0559. That's the telephone number. And if you want to send us your email with your questions, suggestions and feedback, you can write to us on training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Since you are watching us live on our YouTube channel NCERT Official as well, you can always go to the comment section. You can just drop your message there, type your question, give your feedback, give your suggestion, whatever it is, and connect with us instantly. So let me tell you the theme that we are covering today under the umbrella term of cyber hygiene. It is cyber hygiene for classrooms, best practices for teachers and students. And now I'll request ma'am to start off with the presentation and to make us aware and please increase the knowledge on these best practices. Please, ma'am.
So good afternoon, listeners, especially my young friends. You have been part of the session this entire week and would have understood the need to follow the safe hygiene practices in the cyberspace. So today my presentation focuses on the cyber hygiene practices to be followed for secure remote learning. Friends, we all know that during COVID time, the learning shifted online. In fact, millions of students did not lose their academic year because of technology. And technology did provide a lot of benefits, but at the same time, we need to be very, very careful while interacting in the realm of technology. So first, let me tell you the advancement which our country has made. So, very proud to present this slide that these are the countries with the largest digital population in the world. So, on a third place is United States with 311 billion. Then the second is China with 1,050 million, and the second place is India with 692 million, and the top is China with 1050 million. So India is the second largest user of the digital people in the world, and we are inching very close to China shortly. Now this is a good news, isn't it? So another good news is that India has the largest number of schools in the world, and in India, 45% of the schools are using technology in the classroom very effectively. So when we use technology in the classrooms, we have to understand the concept of safety. The safety of these millions of students who are using technology, the teachers who are promoting technology in the classroom is very important. And that's what my session focuses on. Friends, I request you to listen very carefully and ask questions at the end of the session as suggested by the moderator. So, moving ahead, I just want to share with you certain case studies. Now, these are not make believe case studies, these have happened. Only thing, I'm not disclosing the names of the schools where this happened. So, the school systems, do you know that school systems also get hacked very easily? Okay,
Yes.
and there was a school in the city of Bangalore
Mm-hmm.
where the students hacked the school system and changed their marks.
Oh.
Okay, these days, yes, these kind of things happen. See, we are talking about personal safety,
Mm-hmm.
but personal safety is very important for secure remote learning also.
Yes.
Then, very recently, in another city in India, the school website was hacked and the home page was replaced with obscene images. Now, that school could not do anything much, and because the website, the passwords, etc., the credentials were totally changed, and they took time to bring down the website, and obviously the reputation of the school got affected. And this was in the US where a school was hacked, and the hackers actually wanted ransomware, and
Mm.
they took away the data of thousands of students, and they threatened to post that data or sell their data online if $40 million ransom was not paid. So, friends, when we are learning online in the safe environment of the school, it is very important to be safe. But then at the same time, when we are doing remote learning, where the teacher is in a different place and students are in a different place, the safety becomes even more important. So, moving on, I want to re-emphasize the fact that the schools need to actually follow very safe measures to provide safety of their students, whether it is in the physical space or in the cyberspace. So on the left is your school boundary physical. So my young friends, I'm sure your schools will be having high boundary walls. There are gates, there are guards which don't allow people inside. Why is it so? Because safety of the young children is paramount. It is the responsibility of the school authorities to keep students and teachers safe in the physical premises. Now, coming to the right hand side, that when we are conducting online learning, then there are we also need to have that kind of boundary, and technology can provide us firewalls by which our data, our students photos, whatever they are learning, whatever their personal credentials, nothing gets leaked online. So emphasizing the fact that the physical safety in a school is as important as the cyber safety in the school. So both have to be taken very seriously.
Yes.
Now, why so? Why, you might say that, okay, so what if the platform where we are learning is hacked? So why what is so great about the student data? children, data is power. Data is, the information is the new oil, the new currency these days. And the data can be used, misused and also sold in the market for nefarious, for wrong things. So student data is very, very valuable and it is very sensitive. Okay, because there is personal identifiable information, the information regarding the learner, information regarding the teachers. Now, if private information is leaked, then the family details are leaked, the academic information is leaked, then anybody can blackmail anybody. Like I said, that a school in US where ransomware was asked, and it is not only one school, but in India also there have been about 3 to 4 such incidences. This can, if falls into the wrong hands, then it can create havoc in the life of the young learners, definitely, but also the school authorities. Imagine if your health data gets lost, or the behavioral data of a student gets lost. Let's say there was a student who had some behavioral issues in certain class, okay, and some bullying or some other behavioral issues, but later on those were corrected over time. But if those behavioral details are leaked, and if when that student grows up and goes for job, and then those issues are leaked up, okay, so and so did these kind of things when he or she was a teenager, so that can impact the lives of the people. So I'll give you the example of a young student. I will not mention the name and the place. So the young student got admission in a very top university. Okay, getting admission in that university was not easy. And this incident is about 2.5 year old incident in India. And provisional admission was given. But when the school authorities, the university authorities, they checked out his credentials, then they found that his social media profile, his digital footprints were not very clean, were not very positive, were not enabling. So the university did not want to have trouble on their hands. Okay, they obviously did not want somebody who will create problems on the campus. So they cancelled that provisional admission. That student went to the court, the student's parents, and but nothing happened because the university authorities decided that it's their prerogative. So they decided that they do not want such a student. So what I'm saying is that I'll definitely come to the actions in the digital space, that how you have to be very conscious and leave an enabling and positive digital footprint. But at the same time, when one is young, one does get into these kind of mischievous things. And so that's why I'm saying that the data and information of the students is very, very important. The schools also have financial information of the of the fee paid. The school also has financial information of the parents, what is their income and all that. So if all that is leaked, then it can definitely be misused and create havoc in the lives of the people. So that is why it is very important. The data is very important for us. It is important to keep it very safe. So now, past 3 days, you have understood the risk in the cyberspace. Okay, the schools are also, the educational institutes are also not immune to these kind of risks. So one is data breach. Data breach happens when somebody infiltrates the system, और आपका उसमें से इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल लेता है जी. मैंने ऑलरेडी आपको ransomware, I had told you that the schools take away the information and ask for money to give give the control back. The hackers take away the data and they ask for money to give the control back to the school or the college authorities. And they ask for a huge amount of data. And they threaten, if that money is not paid, then they will sell that data in the market. And you know what happens to the sold data in the market. You will start getting those crank calls, and they will be blackmailing and other not so good incidents. Okay, the other is denial of services. I'll not go detail into it, but yes, when you are not, when the authorities are not able to access the learning platforms or any of the resources where they have cloud resources where they have kept the data, and learning doesn't happen and information is not shared. Now, the other is inappropriate information. Like I had shared in my last slide, the website of the school was hacked and inappropriate information was shared on the website, defacing the website. Imagine a school website, which is talking about the institution, the vision, the goals of the institution, and other details, and it has on the website to share with the parents and everybody else. Imagine if there are inappropriate things posted on that. So inappropriate information can also be if somebody hacks the system and starts posting obscene messages or obscene pictures during the remote learning. And the other one is which you have been reminded about in the last 3 days. That is, manipulation techniques are used for data theft, and that is called as social engineering. So this is by phishing, by malicious links, by those crank calls, by somebody posing as who they are not. So these kind of things not only happen in your personal life, but they can also happen in the academic life, into the school system. So the school system has to be very aware and very vigilant, because it is their duty, it is their responsibility to keep their learners safe, whether they are learning online or in a face-to-face mode in the physical boundaries. So now you might say, "To kya ho gaya? So what?" Huh? Now these cyber attacks have very grave consequences. Number one, like I said earlier, they harm the reputation of the school. Now let's say there is an educational institute or school or college, where this kind of data hacking happens, website has been defaced. So the people will think before putting their children into the school, that if they cannot keep my data, my child secure, then how am I to entrust my children for 8 hours to them and give all the details? Okay, so there is loss of trust amongst the parents. And definitely, like I said, I have been saying that misuse of students' sensitive information. And because of the ransomware thing, access is denied to the important data. And there are huge financial losses also. Let's say that an educational institute cannot function for a few days. And itna loss hota hai, psychological issues hote hain,
जी.
and the school may face a lawsuit. There may be some people who feel that they had entrusted their important data to the school, and the school is not taking care of it. So there may be some lawsuit also in this. So the cyber attack has a lot of consequences, and not good consequences at all. So how we can prevent it? How we can safeguard it? We can safeguard it by following the cyber hygiene practices. Okay, my young friends, when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you have your bath, you keep yourself clean, don't you? Why do you do that? To remain well, to remain healthy. Don't we do that? Huh? We have our medicines on time. We keep our house clean. We don't clutter our study table. We don't do that, because if you study in a cluttered study table, the mind also does not work that positively. So in our real life, we follow the hygiene practices and we don't make effort to do it. Abhi, when we are small, the parents may tell us, "Go and brush your teeth in the morning." But when you reach a certain age, it happens automatically to you. Nobody has to remind you. Nobody has to remind you that you should have bath or change clothes. Okay, or keep your surroundings clean. These come automatically to you. Similarly, when you are in cyberspace, the hygiene in the cyberspace is equally important. Why so? Because you're spending so many hours in the cyberspace. We are learning, we are playing, we are socializing, we are entertaining ourselves. Okay, aren't we? And teachers, you are actually taking charge of student learning, you are sharing important data. We are also availing our the government services. We are paying bills. In fact, our lives have moved online as much as they are in the physical world. So since we are spending so much of time in the physical space, it becomes very important to keep the cyberspace as well as the physical space very, very clean, very, very healthy, so that we have a feeling of we have a good feeling and a feeling of well-being. Now, how can we adopt these cyber hygiene practices into a classroom for a happy, healthy, safe learning environment? So first, I come to the school management. Now, these are certain tips. These are not exhaustive tips because of the lack of time. I have just put the top tips together. So the school management, like it ensures the safety of student in the physical space, they also have to think of the online space. So ensure the physical security of the computer lab. So we have to have the right measures in place, the right locks, the guards, etc. Then second is ensure security of the students within the computer lab, because we should not have the devices which are giving shocks or which are not working well, or the wires which are hanging loose, or the plug points which are not working well. I'm sure nobody wants the students to get hurt. So the security of students within the computer lab is very, very important. And for that, they have to provide quality hardware and original software for learning. And also, coming to the next one is ensure secure learning platforms. And we should, though COVID has ended, but blended learning is still the norm. Whenever there is rain or there are any other issues, these days the schools just don't close. That aaj chutti ho gayi, aaj chutti, physical chutti hai school की, पर online classes चलती हैं. So blended learning has actually become very, very popular. So these learning platforms where the student learn is supposed to be, is actually required to be very safe. And it's the duty of the school management to conduct awareness programs at all levels and appoint responsible and informed staff and security coordinator in the computer lab. And it's also the duty of the school management to spread awareness through interesting means like cyber safety competitions, create cyber safety clubs, or have cyber safety policy in the school, which will actually detail out the roles and responsibilities at various levels. So moving on to the next part, that these are the basic hygiene practices to be followed in the school, and I have categorized them into different heads. So one is organization of data and devices. So the lab has a lot of data. The lab has a lot of devices. They may have computers, they may have printers, they have the server, and there may be tabs, etc., depending on the kind of school it is and what the school can afford. So one is the how to organize them. Like I said, that hygiene practices have to be the hygiene practices that we follow in a real lives have to be followed in the online world too. So in a real life, a classroom is organized well. Similarly, in the for the computer lab, the devices have to be organized, have to be safe and organized in that kind of manner. Then second is access, the access to data and software. So I'll be describing each of these in details. The third is the storage of data, how safely we can store the data. And the fourth is the usage of resources, softwares, and platforms. And fifth is sharing of data and information, which happens a lot in the school. So let's go on to the organization. So organizing. Now, here comes the responsibility of the computer lab in charge. He or she is the king of the computer lab. He or she must be aware, must be educated, must be informed, and needs to be very, very responsible. Because when the students come to the lab, their safety is the responsibility of the computer lab in charge or computer teacher, whosoever is actually over there. So the computer lab in charge has to ensure security of computer labs and users. And for that, if he or she needs any additional hardware, any software, or any other requirement is there, then it is his or her duty to inform the management that this particular device is not working properly, it is giving shocks, or I need somebody, the electrician, to come in, or this particular software is not appropriate for the students. I need a software which is more informative and age appropriate. So that is one thing. And then documentation of hardware and software in the lab is very, very important. We do that in our lives. We we keep our cupboards, etc., very clean. We document, the teachers always document all the books, etc., that they have, and other devices that they have. So they have to have a big register to document the hardware and software. And in that, the computer lab in charge has to keep track of vendors, the purchase dates, the warranties, the AMCs. So because in a lab there are some computers which are old, and there are some computers or devices which are new. So the lab in charge is responsible for keeping for ship shaping. That is, the efficiency of these devices is the responsibility of the computer lab in charge. So these are very, very important. Not that, okay, I forgot to extend the warranty, or AMC is not given. Okay, I don't even know the vendor. So how can you keep the devices going on efficiently? And the third is coming to the fourth is organizing files and folders with appropriate names. We have seen some desktops where they are cluttered. It may be personal, or it may be the lab. The lab desktops are a lot of times very cluttered, because period after period, students from different classes come, they work, they create files, they go away. The responsibility of organizing them lies with the computer lab in charge. So he or she has to actually create the folders with appropriate names and the dates. Let's say a 7th A came and they worked on the computer, they wrote their essay, or they did something on Excel. Okay, and then their files have to be stored very, very carefully, and they have to inform the students, they have to educate the students and how to name their files properly, so that the next time they want to access, they access it easily. So that is organizing files and folders with appropriate names. Then updation of software is very, very important. Sometimes the software is not original and cannot get updated. So the latest security patches are not there. And then what happens when there are the viruses and other issues? It cannot fight those viruses because the updates haven't happened. Then backup of the data is very, very important in the school system, and it has to be always emphasized. So backup can be on the server, external hard disk, or backup can be on the cloud. The students come, they do so much of work, and their data should not get lost, because anybody can create a file with maybe similar name and then replace that file, or somebody may delete. So we cannot let that happen. So organizing is very, very important. And in the organizing part, the lab in charge has to be very, very vigilant and identify any risks and start taking actions to mitigate those risks. So this is one small duty of the lab in charge. I'll continue more. And these are not difficult, because all of us have been inculcated with a sense of hygiene in our lives. And then we just have to transfer that thinking onto the cyberspace too. The second is access and storage. So again, the computer lab in charge is responsible, because, like I said, he or she is the king of that lab. So the devices have to be locked through password, through pins, through fingerprints, because we do not want the students to come and access the teacher folder where their marks and other details are kept. that cannot happen. So also the locking of the devices, the safety of the devices for the software is very, very important, because we don't want the students to come and change the settings. The young people are very, very smart these days, and they like to explore, and in that process, things can go wrong. Then the password protocols have to be followed. I think this has to be always emphasized, that passwords are a key to the internal, password is like the key to a locker. Like at home, we keep our key of the locker very, very safe. Similarly, passwords have to be very strong, very uncommon, and they have to be changed often. And passwords are not social, they should not be shared. So another thing is, like I had mentioned, that if, let's say, there is a smaller class coming, they should not have access to the folder of the senior class. So let's say senior class is doing certain project which is not age appropriate for the young students. So every folder has to be password protected. So if a class 11 is coming, the class 11 students should have access to only class 11 folders. And also, when we are allowing the students to do internet research, on the website, we have to actually restrict their website activity in terms of access to certain websites or videos which are not age appropriate. Now, coming to the secure communication channel, it is very, very important. Like I said, the COVID has long gone. The schools are working in a face to face mode, but blended learning is the norm of the day. So even now, learning platforms are used, and they are also used sometimes for the 10th and 12th classes, so that they don't come to school if they have to ask questions before their boards or pre-boards. So we have to ensure that the learning platforms are very, very safe. You must have heard of the term bombing of the learning platforms.
Yes.
That is when the somebody shares the password and the username, and a person with malintent, with not good intent, gets access and shares inappropriate photos, or takes away the pictures and the data of the students. So it's very important to have strong passwords and not to change the passwords. Now, similarly, for the applications, we are very fond of downloading applications these days. Okay, there are applications for counting how many glasses of water you've had, how many steps are there, and of course there are applications for all kind of services provided by the organizations. Now there are a lot of learning applications also, and what I find is that some of these applications are very, very useful, but at the same time there are some applications which are free and which are there to take away the data. They don't provide much learning. So the apps which teachers download, those apps have to be scrutinized by the computer lab in charge for the safety, for the authenticity, and only then the lab in charge can advise the teachers that okay, the students can download those apps, they are safe for the students. Okay, so we come to this, next is the secure storage of data. So like I said, again I'm emphasizing backups on the hard disk or cloud. And the second last is updated antivirus software. This is very, very important. And during COVID time, we understood what havoc a virus can cause in our lives. So all of us took vaccines. Even the children took vaccines, and this prevented us from falling sick very badly. Okay, so similarly, antivirus software is very, very important for the lab, for the hygienic practices. And this antivirus software should be original, should be trusted, and it should be constantly updated by the computer lab in charge. And then is the lab in charge also has to create a schedule for conducting awareness programs at all level. It may be the clerical staff, it may be the teachers at different level. They can even conduct some awareness programs for the parents, for the safety, because the students are, after all, when they do remote learning, they are learning from home. So this can be scheduled in support, with support of the management. So moving on, yes, computer lab in charge is responsible for a lot of things, but at the same time, as users, teachers are also very responsible, because the teachers are also very they use the technology very much to reach out to their students, to share resources and learning with the student, and a lot of data is shared. How it is shared, let's say that during the COVID time, everybody learned from home. Examinations also happened at home. So a math teacher has to share the marks with the classroom teacher, or a teacher has to share resources with the students. So a lot of sharing of information takes place. Okay, so during the sharing also, this information can be intercepted and this can be misused. So let's say I'm sharing the details. I'm a math teacher. I'm sharing the details of the math marks with the class, with the with the class teacher. And what happens that I was not very careful. I did not keep my file very carefully, and the students and some, let's say anybody else, gets access to it. I told you the first case study in the beginning of my presentation, where the students hacked. Now, these kind of things happen if we don't follow the set protocols or guidelines. So, for usage and for sharing, the teachers have to follow the set protocols and guidelines as laid down by school authorities, guided by the lab in charge. Again, coming to the strong and uncommon passwords, the teachers have to protect the files, their data. Like in staff room, we keep our cupboard locked. Don't we do that? And we don't give the key to anybody. We will not just have the key lying around. So similarly, the our folders are our online cabinet, and we have to have very strong passwords, and we have to keep it very safely. Then access to the resources has to be given by the computer lab in charge as per the rules. Now, this is the very important duty of the lab in charge. Why? Because let's say that the students' financial data and the fee details are in one folder. Now, that folder should not be shared with the other teachers. Definitely not kept lying around for the students to see, but it should not be shared with the other teachers also. And similarly, like coming to me as a math teacher, I should be only knowing the math grades of the student. The class teacher has to know all the the marks of all the subjects, but as a particular subject teacher, I am responsible only for my subject. So the lab in charge has to ensure that the access to various resources, access to various folders which are created by the lab in charge, are as per the roles and responsibilities of the teachers. And definitely the teacher folder should not be kept on the desktop for all the students to see. It should be kept in a different drive where the students don't have any access. Because like I said, the young people are very smart, and they explore and they get the solutions what they want to faster than the adults do, because after all they are the digital natives, and many of the teachers are actually digital migrants who have actually come into the technology world. The technology has come into their world later, but the students have been born in the world of technology, so that's why they are called digital natives. Now, coming to the next part, secure storage of data. Again, you might be thinking, why is she putting on every slide? I would like to put, because let's say that you conducted an exam, and after and the marks were in a certain file or a folder, and that entire folder gets lost. So what happens? Will you go back and reconduct the entire exam? Is it possible to conduct the annual examination of the entire school? Let's say if the hard disk fails, or if or if there is a ransomware, and so you have to keep in mind those kind of things. So the backup, the secure storage of data is very important, whether it is in a different hard disk, or whether it is in the cloud server, or anywhere else. Okay, we need to apply the same analogy of safety that we are applying in a real world. We always lock our cabinets, but here and then we always keep backups, but in the online space it is even more important. Now, coming to the teachers, teachers, please refrain from downloading any app. Let's say that you are a geography teacher, and then somebody says, okay, this particular application is very good to understand the physical features of a particular country, of a particular place. And then you tell your students that, okay, I think let's use that application, because for teacher the applications also make learning easier, because the students can explore and learn on their own in a visual manner. But as a teacher, you have to run that the usage of that application by the lab in charge, who can tell you the ratings, who can tell you whether it is authentic or it is safe to use, how many followers are there. So all those things have to be tested. And the same thing goes for the trusted and authentic websites. We should not allow students to wander around in this dark and scary and dangerous online space. Like, we don't allow students to go to when they are in our in the school space, we just don't allow them to go out anywhere. So similarly, we should not allow the students to access those kind of websites which may not be safe for them. So first, as teachers, it is our responsibility to see that these websites are safe for the students. They are useful and they are safe. There is no inappropriate information. There are no online predators who are who are lurking around over there to blackmail or trouble the students. And the information is appropriate to the age. So this kind of background work the teachers have to do with support of the lab in charge. Then, as teachers and as lab in charge, be as vigilant as you are in your real life and stay updated. The lab in charge has to definitely stay updated, because they're on cert sites and other government sites. There are a lot of notifications about certain risks or dangers or new viruses. So the lab in charge has to be very vigilant, and then has to inform and educate the teachers that this particular website or application, or there is this danger lurking in the cyberspace which has been informed by the authorities, and you should not go there. So together, the teachers and lab in charge have to follow the safe online practices. Now, coming to the students. See, friends, safety is paramount, like I have been saying. Then it is very important for the students to also be vigilant, because I'm responsible for my safety. Okay, I have to be supported by the adults to keep myself safe, but ultimately, safety is everybody's responsible. Okay, internet is a beautiful world. Okay, it gives us lot of facilities. We can do so much over there, but it can be a very dangerous place if safe measures are not followed. So as student, it is great to have the kind of freedom that I can go to the lab. As a senior student, I can access the websites, I can access internet, I can download the websites, I can share the data. It's a very nice thing, but at the same time, we have to use the internet very, very safely. Now, besides using internet very safely, as students, like, we feel responsible for our own devices at home which the parents have given us. So the same sense of responsibility has to be there in the online space as well. And the same sense of responsibility has to be there in the lab also. Okay, because today, if I'm misusing those devices in the lab, tomorrow I will not have them to use. I cannot just leave them on. I cannot just sneak in some input output devices which may contain virus. if I am leaving the lab after learning, it is my responsibility to close the folders, to close the files, and to leave the lab, the software and the hardware very safe and very hygienic for the others to use. So there are the protocols which have to be followed. So I would suggest that the lab in charge should have the posters in the lab, that the do's and don'ts for the students. Okay, they could be a poster for logging in. They could be a poster for logging out. So these kind of posters, if they are, or charts, if they are put in the labs, then they remind the students to be that careful. Okay, so it
Right.
is, and it's not too much work for the lab in charge, because she just has to, or he has to type it, and it can be printed in no time.
Absolutely,
So
ma'am. Ma'am, I actually have to interrupt you here because we are running short of time and we have to wrap up this session here. But if you want to cover this particular table, you can do so in a minute or so.
yes, ma'am, this is my almost the last slide. Okay. So responsible use of school devices is very, very important. And I said earlier, digital footprints have to be very clean. I shared with you not the story, but the real life incident of a student who was denied admission in a top college. So so that is very, very important. So as students, you have to respect others' safety and privacy. And the senior students in the school, who are much more computer savvy, have to be the role models. They have to be respectful, responsible, and reliant for the younger ones also.
Absolutely.
So, I have completed my presentation, and I would like to tell the teachers that please make safe use of the potential of internet to prepare your students for the 21st century workforce, but follow the safety and the hygienic measures. And how can you do it? By following the rules of the information superhighway. So what is information superhighway? Like, we are driving on the highway, so we follow the rules, etc. Similarly, on the internet, we have to follow the rules even much more stringently. If we follow those rules, then we are safe. If we don't follow the rules, then we are unsafe. And I'm sure nobody wants to be, unsafe and get into any trouble. So use the potential of internet very, very smartly and very, very carefully.
Very
So,
well
ma'am,
said,
that
ma'am.
was my presentation.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Very
And
well said. Thank you so much for providing us an insight, detailed, explanation of all the threats and security measures that teachers and students need to take. As I said, the Gen Z is really smart, and therefore teachers' role has become even larger than before, because they have to encourage the students to use the IT tools, but of course in a very responsible manner, and they have to be informed and updated in the same regard as well. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your contribution to the session. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. And I would like the young listeners to keep this safeguards and advisories with them, and to follow in the real life. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, viewers, it's time for me to tell you about the registration process and how you can attempt the quiz. Well, all you need to do is to go to this particular website of CIET, which is ciet.ncert.gov.in. Here you are seeing this particular heading of activities. Click on the same, go to this option of workshop and training, and under this option of workshop and training, basically what you will find this current activity section, and current activity is online training on cyber hygiene. Click on the same. Here on this page, you will get all the details regarding this online training that we are conducting, along with the schedule, the day-wise schedule. We also have the objectives of training for you. Please go through them. Then you have the elaborated program schedule, along with the name of the resource persons, the themes that we are covering throughout the days. And this comes the very important section of how to participate. If you want to register yourself, click on this link or scan this QR code. Well, on the last day of the training session, that is tomorrow, there will be a post-session quiz link. This link will be highlighted, and you can click on it and you can attempt the quiz. If you score more than 70%, you will be given a certificate of participation. It will be sent to your registered email ID, and you can also download the certificate from the same page. And about the training session, if you want to share any kind of feedback, click on this particular link over here or scan this QR code. And for giving any kind of suggestion or feedback in writing, write to us on training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So today on day 3, basically we covered this on day 4 we covered this very important theme of cyber hygiene for classrooms, best practices for teachers and students. It is very important to stay safe and updated when it comes to digital technology. Of course, it is very important for us to work through the digital mediums, because we cannot do away with them. It's a need of the hour, it's a necessity, but then we have to be really cautious, because even a slightest mistake of on our part basically can lead the fraudsters to track our information and to harm us. So I hope this training session has been really fruitful and beneficial for you. In a while from now, you will attend another live and interactive session called Sahyog. It's going to be very important. This particular session is all about providing psychosocial support to parents, teachers and students across the country. So do tune in. And before I wrap up this session here, very important announcement. CIET NCERT is happy to announce the All India Children's Educational E-Content Competition for this year. So if you are a teacher, teacher educator, student or independent educational e-content creator, we invite you to send in your best e-content for the competition. For more details and the registration form, you can visit the activity section of our official website, which is www.ciet.ncert.gov.in. And you can scan the QR code given on the screen as well. The last date for sending your entries is 10th of January 2024. हमें आप सभी को ये बताते हुए बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि CIET NCERT इस वर्ष के लिए अखिल भारतीय बच्चों की शैक्षिक ई कंटेंट प्रतियोगिता की घोषणा कर चुका है। यदि आप एक शिक्षक, शिक्षक प्रशिक्षक, छात्र या स्वतंत्र शैक्षिक ई कंटेंट निर्माता हैं, तो आप प्रतियोगिता के लिए अपना सर्वश्रेष्ठ ई कंटेंट भेजने के लिए आमंत्रित हैं। अधिक जानकारी एवं प्रवेश फॉर्म के लिए कृपया CIET NCERT की वेबसाइट देखें अथवा स्क्रीन पर दिखाए जा रहे QR कोड को स्कैन करके भी आप वेबसाइट तक पहुंच सकते हैं। प्रविष्टियां भेजने की अंतिम तारीख रहेगी 10 जनवरी 2024। And with this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you, but you stay tuned for our next live and interactive session. Namaskar.